Evolve. Evolve. Revolve, more like. I've been playing here to gear up on Darwin's theory of evolution is dead. Well, let me tell you one thing, Mr. Geerup. Darwin's theory of evolution is alive and kicking. And unless God is very much on your side, it's not evolution that's dead, it's going to be your car battery, because, sunshine, you're sat in your car with your engine switched off and your windscreen wipers going on and it looks like a light on, and I just hope that when you try to set off a little bit later, that God had preserved the energy levels of your lead acid cell there, because otherwise you'd have been stuck in that car park for the rest of the night on what looked like a rather rainy, nasty night. Anyway, I'm going to try and factise a response now, and yeah, that kind of gives the game where I'm going to have to address some things that I really can't be bothered to address in between some of the nuggets that are worth addressing, so I'll try and skim through those. Evolution theory or fact. Theories and facts are different types of things. One thing I disagree with him, and I disagree with some of the experts, you'll see, including people who are scientifically trained, is that they kind of maintain that a theory is somehow, you've got to work your way towards being regarded as a theory. You don't have to at all. There are some theories that are very well established. There are some theories that are very, very tenuous. You can go from superstring theory and M theory and stuff like that, which are very tenuous theories, through to theories like the heliocentric theory of the solar system or germ theory, which nobody disputes. A theory doesn't tell you, it's a shame it doesn't, but a theory doesn't tell you whether something is, whether the hypothesis is well established or not. It tells you the type of information, and a theory is a set of you could say parameters, or a set of rules by which a process works. Facts are a very different type of information. Facts are almost like the results. Facts are almost like the numbers, the actual statistics that back something up. Facts and theories are different types of information. Theories are used to describe and predict facts. A theory won't become a fact after 200 years, it won't become a fact after 2 million years. It just doesn't work like that. Right, so let's get rid of that crap. I'm sure lots of people will have addressed that for him. There, I've said it. He says evolution is fantasy for adults. Well, pot, kettle, calling black. Do you know what I mean? You're a fundamentalist Christian, and you're talking about fantasy for adults. I'm not going to even say any more on that. He asks for evidence. Give me evidence. You know, give me evidence of these transitional forms. 1 second. Okay. I don't know if you've looked around my room. Actually, I really ought to. It's a bit of a mess in here. This is our study, by the way. I just thought, in case you've not seen, you've seen a webcam, a very narrow focus, don't you, of what goes on? I just thought I'd show you around there. He asks for evidence, but yeah, I'm not going to list a load of transitional forms. There are some fantastic transitional forms, especially recently in regards of things fish to amphibian and mammal to reptile. Some fantastic transitional fossils, but fossils aren't even the best evidence. I'm not going to list loads of transitional fossil links, because just Google for the bastard things if you want them. You don't need me to do your donkey work for you. Well, clearly this bloke does, but that shouldn't be necessary. No, the genetic evidence is fantastic. The distribution of retroviruses, synonymous genetic variations, and fossilized pseudogenes, things like this are just mind-blowing, really. Some of it's hard to envisage any kind of explanation. You know, if it is fantasy, if evolution is fantasy, you would have to explain how these things fit with evolution, and evolution not being true. It would be almost mind-blowing that evolution wasn't true, and yet these things would all fit in with the theory. What would the odds on that be? There'd have to be trillions and trillions to one. You know, he wants evidence. Buy a fucking book if you want some evidence. I really can't be asked to go through it all. There's some more interesting points. The first one is this racism point. This is the first really interesting point he comes to. What he says is that evolution is racist. By implication, if you believe in evolution, you're racist. The interesting thing is, even if you take somebody like Kent Hovind, and you don't get much more fundamentalist, much more of a literalist, biblical creationist than Kent Hovind, and even he asserts that microevolution is true, and he asserts that all the races descended from Noah and Noah's family. Well, that kind of presents a bit of a problem for Geerup, doesn't it? Because that must make us all racists. Because Kent Hovind, despite the problem that I've pointed out with that, which is that you wouldn't have enough genetic variation for all the different races to come from the family of Noah within a few thousand years, and given that Kent Hovind doesn't believe there's any positive new genetic mutations, that really you're just selecting within the variants within that population, and obviously if you've only got one family, you haven't got a great deal of genetic variation. But despite that, that's what Kent Hovind believes, and he can't be more literalist than Kent Hovind because nobody is. So he must believe in microevolution, surely. He must believe the races came from somewhere, if he believes in Noah's flood. So he believes that there is that evolutionary change. So all the racist claims he makes apply just as much to him as they do to what he would call an evolutionist. Yeah. So this is really rather interesting, and in many ways, you know, if you try and deny an evolutionary stake in what makes us us, you actually create more of a problem in terms of racism, because if you try and make out that it's all a blank slate, that we all start off exactly the same, if that's then if you base your equality on that, if that's then proved wrong, as it seems to be getting proved wrong more and more and more, I mean, nobody would deny that a pygmy and a Maasai warrior the same height generally, and it's just luck that one of them tends to be shorter than the other. There's clearly a genetic component there. Once you start seeing these genetic components in more and more different things, if you've based your equality principle on there not being a genetic component, where do you go from there? Whereas if you accept a genetic component but make your principle of equality not based on who's better, but on a principle that everybody should be treated the same unless you know differently, you know, you treat everybody as if you don't prejudge anybody, then there's no problem, is there? It then starts to go on talking about the Bible. This is the next nugget, and this is really the last thing I'm going to talk about. He talks about the Bible. This is brilliant. He talks about a literal. What he says is the Bible says it's all created in 6 days. It's all created in 6 days. Okay, it's that simple, not complicated. That's what it says. It's created in 6 days. Created in 6 days. Then he waffles on a bit about some other stuff. Then he kind of comes back to it all, and he says that, you know, there's all these stars that are billions of light years away. He seems to know what a light year is. There's all these stars that are billions of light years away. Obviously, what God did is, according to Geerup, is that he started the stars and the galaxies going a few billions of years in advance, as you would. Then he created the Earth and blah 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 blah. Well, there's two problems there. You can already work out what one of them is from what I've just said. But let's deal with the other one first. The other one is, why bother? You know, what's the point of all these other stars? It's not as if it's just a couple of dozen other stars, or a few thousand, or a few 10,000, or another billion other stars. No, it's a couple of 100 billion stars in our galaxy, and hundreds of billions of... There's galaxies, you can't even see all the individual stars, so they can't be there for our benefit. You know, what are they there for? But according to him, God started these billions of years in advance to give the light chance to get to us. But hang on a minute, he's already said it all happened in 6 days. He believes in a literal 6-day creation. So what does he believe in? A literal 6-day creation, which includes the stars. Read Genesis if you don't believe it all. Right, the sun and the stars are all included in it. What does he believe? Does he believe in a literal 6-day creation 6,000 years ago? Or does he believe that it's happened over billions of years? I don't even think this guy knows what he believes. All he knows is that he doesn't want... he doesn't want to believe a non-literalist Christian perspective, and basically he's waffling around his issue because he doesn't really understand the concept of evolution at all. He doesn't understand a lot of the cosmological concepts. He doesn't understand the concepts of his own belief, either the fundamentalist belief he holds or even his general Christian beliefs. So he's waffling around it all, just trying to uphold the kind of position that he wants to believe in. And basically, it's a pretty crap video. And he's not going to be able to get home because his battery's going to be flat.